Clean slate.
All right. I'm sorry in advance. This will be more story reading than storytelling, but the words are genuine. So, it's been hours since darkness has descended outside, but if you walked into my world at that moment, you wouldn't be able to tell. For one, there are no windows in the microscopy room of the Montreal Neurological Institute, where you can often find me. Furthermore, my face is lit by a computer screen as I stare in awe at the beautiful images. Green fibers, occasionally covered in red blobs, course from the edges of the screen, dive into the middle as they decussate into the brain matter that I know is responsible for visual processing. I'm looking at the axons of a tadpole's optic nerve, which I've labeled in green, and trying to see how many of them are ensheathed in myelin, which I've labeled in red. Myelin is that insulatory material that wraps around the axons of neurons. Think of the rubber insulation around wires in your house. It strikes me at that moment that I might be the only person to have ever observed this particular configuration, the onset of myelin in this young, developing tadpole. What I see on the screen takes me back to the questions that started this entire project. How should we best quantify these red myelinating segments? What might be responsible for myelin onset at this age of the tadpole? And can we reprogram myelination through experience? Observing the stunning beauty and the enigma of neurobiology, and asking deeper and deeper questions to uncover the rules that govern brain wiring. This opportunity to exercise my curiosity and make discoveries is what drew me to pursue a neuroscience PhD in the first place. Since I enrolled in McGill several years ago, I've done some strange things in order to dive into the secret world locked away due to its microscopic scale. Before I continue, a brief but necessary disclaimer here that all the procedures I'm about to tell you have been approved by animal ethics committees and are strictly adhered to in order to minimize any suffering and pain of the animals. So, the strange things I've done include injecting frogs with hormones to get them to breed tadpoles so we can do our experiments, passing brief, low-voltage electric currents over the eyes and brains of tadpoles to get them to express certain fluorescent proteins, sticking them under microscopes and observing them live over time to see how changes occur, and even grinding together, sort of like a witch with her mortar and pestle, certain concoctions so I can help these tadpoles grow up better and faster and stronger. So we do what needs to be done in search for the answers to our scientific questions. And while these challenges keep us interested, sometimes it's too much. The goals, the objectives start to feel unattainable with so many failed attempts, and I can't help but feel frustrated. In my own experience and that of my fellow graduate students, it takes months of troubleshooting to make a protocol work. And then once it does, we might find inconclusive evidence, or that perhaps the experiment isn't optimal for the question we were asking in the first place, and it's back to the drawing board. Sometimes it's impossible not to cave in, to wonder, is it just the project that's failing, or me? And how can I not go to that place? Because the truth is that ultimately, the research is just one portion of a person's life. When I try to inject a frog, sometimes I'm taken into my own apartment, my thumb over the auto-injector that I use to dispense my own medication. Breathe in deeply, breathe out. When I try to converse with a group of hotshot scientists, sometimes I'm taken to other social situations, feeling shut out because of who I am in terms of my social identity. Breathe in deeply, breathe out. And when I try to read scientific discourse, sometimes I'm taken to other things I've read, feeling overwhelmed by the complexity and sometimes sheer tragedy of world events. Breathe in deeply, breathe out. At the end of it all, for me, doing a PhD has not just been about doing the research, but managing the research alongside my chronic illnesses, heartbreak, uncertainty about the future arising from career insecurity and socio-political and climate instability, and all of this fueling into the deep existential search for meaning that manifests itself in all of us. It's a lot. But surviving in the face of all of that, like a trial by fire, has made me more tenacious and resilient, I think. And perhaps most importantly, instilled in me a sense of confidence and faith in my own decision-making skills to finally pursue the kind of things I've always wanted to pursue. A past me even when at the beginning of her PhD, treaded with caution. The challenges I chose to take on tended to be those that I knew, at least somewhere deep within me, I could succeed at. I explored, but within boundaries. And worst of all, I didn't even accept that this is what I was doing. However, research is about seeking that which has never been uncovered before, if only because of its obscurity. And even if you don't find what you're looking for, you figure out a way to a different destination. So yes, it was a scientific curiosity that was the initial attraction. But with time, I'm realizing that my relationship with my PhD has become about more than that. I've developed an emotional bond with it because more than anywhere else in my life, my lab is an environment where I can fail in the safest of ways. My science is a pursuit of constructive failure. I want to say here that I realize how much that statement drips with privilege, and I'm sorry to hear about places where that's not true. Anyway, so going back to the part of constructive failure, it's a way of life that sticks with you, not just in the lab, but outside it too. Here's an example. A couple of weeks ago, I found myself in the Galapagos Islands of the coast of Ecuador, as dreamy a dream destination as they come. An entire underwater world awaited me, except for a small catch. I don't know how to swim. Also, I wear a medical aid called an ostomy bag that can come off in the water. Past me, the one that treaded with caution, would have shrugged her shoulders and sat on the coast, not even allowing herself to feel the regret of missed opportunity. But the many years into her PhD, don't know when I'm going to graduate me, decides to suit up. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, regulator clenched in my lips, breathing deeply, holding hands with her discovery guide, my friend and I flipped backwards off the boat and under the surface of the water. Silence. And then a school of silver and blue fish pass by us and the world is alive again. As long as I maintain a steady breath and keep kicking, I can survive here and take in the stunning beauty of the ocean. Vibrant colored fish and coral, starfish nestled between the rocks, a lone shark in the distance, and a giant manta ray passing directly beneath me. The deep, deep blue all around us. It strikes me that we might be the only people to have ever observed this particular configuration of oceanic life. From diving into the microscopic world of the laboratory to this underwater world far away in the Pacific, I know that beyond the challenges, doing my PhD constantly inspires me to unlock all sorts of secret worlds. The most astonishing thing is I don't even need to know how to swim. All I have to do is just keep breathing.